Most psychological problems come from self-preservation at all costs, or the fear of vulnerability. Now, some theologians say that's also the definition of sin, self-preservation at all costs, or selfishness. Now, Jesus was talking about the spiritual requirement to give all and follow him when he said, "Whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it." That's Matthew 16:25. But he was also making a brilliant observation about vulnerability. If you're trying to cling to your life so hard to save it for yourself, you're going to find out that that's not the best way to live. You're actually losing life. You've got to risk being vulnerable in order to really find it. Now, when I say vulnerability, I'm not talking about military vulnerability or financial vulnerability. I'm talking about emotional vulnerability. You've got to be able to be emotionally vulnerable in order to live the most powerful life possible. Now, if you don't, then you have a fear of vulnerability. And the fear of vulnerability results in two things. The first is narcissism. These are the people who refuse to be vulnerable and they believe they've got all the power and they don't need anyone else. But the second is a victim mentality. And those are the people who believe that everybody else has got all the power, so I need to be manipulative and never honest and never vulnerable. So a fear of vulnerability, or self-preservation at all costs, really causes you to lose a real life and live a false life as a result of that. So what's the solution to the fear of vulnerability or self-preservation at all costs? It's healthy dependence. That's right, that dependence is healthy. You were designed by God to have a healthy, dependent relationship, first on him and then with others. And if you're able to embrace that kind of healthy interdependence in your relationships with others, then you'll understand what Jesus meant when he said, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake, they'll find it." Over the last couple of decades, psychologists have spent a lot of time studying the difference between guilt and shame. They've come up with the fact that guilt is about what you do, but shame is about who you are. Guilt that's free of shame is relatively healthy, but shame, the belief that you're not worthy of love, causes all kinds of psychological problems. I've been so impressed with this research that I now have written a book about it called Overcoming Shame, Letting Go of Others' Expectations and Embracing God's Acceptance. If you want to find out about the difference between guilt and shame in your life, then I suggest you pick up a copy so you can learn how to overcome shame for you.